Listen to this alien's warning about 2026. What's coming to Earth is disturbing. Time is running out. Paul Stevens was a retired carpenter, a skeptical man. But for the past 2 years, he had been haunted by vivid dreams in which his deceased wife gave him messages. That night in his workshop, the sky opened up and an alien spaceship landed. The being that emerged from within revealed to Paul that deadline 2026. This year is not just another year on the calendar. It marks a milestone bifurcation of realities which will change the human experience forever. The alien showed that Earth is going through a process that will result in separation of humanity into two distinct groups, which will coexist in the same space but in radically different dimensions of suffering. You're about to discover why some people are being mysteriously pulled or guided, and what Linda Paul's wife was trying to warn her about in her dreams. Most of humanity is not prepared for what is to come. The question is, what do you need to do by 2026 to ensure your life isn't transferred to the reality that suffers the most? If you want to find out what the alien revealed about the deadline of 2026 and the practical key to ensure your transition for the new reality, subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications. That way you won't miss any of our content. And don't forget to check out our ebook. If you seek to truly understand your essence, access the divine source awaken, and find your true purpose, check out the first pinned comment below the video. Because what I am about to reveal will completely transform your understanding of humanity's destiny. Paul Stevens, 69 years old. A retired carpenter was in his workshop at the back of the house at 2:00 in the morning, suffering from chronic insomnia since Linda had died 2 years ago. His bed was too empty, the silence too heavy. So he spent the early hours working with wood, his hands occupied, preventing his mind from mentally visiting the cemetery. That particular night, she was working in a rocking chair, a gift for her granddaughter, sanding oak, until the surface was perfect manual work that had always brought her peace. But in the last year, peace had come accompanied by strange, inexplicable things that she had tried to ignore, like loneliness causing illusions. Dreams about Linda, not fragmented like normal dreams, but vivid, too real. Her sitting on the edge of his bed, her hand touching his face. Her clear voice always saying the same thing. Paul, you're sleeping. You need to wake up. Wake up before it's too late. And Paul would wake up sweating, the room empty, but the sensation of her touch persisting on his skin. It had happened 17 times in the last year. And synchronicities. Paul didn't even know that word until his neighbor Diane, a 50-year-old woman who meditated and talked about energies, explained, synchronicities are signs that the universe is speaking to you. And Paul, a practical man, shrugged, but he had to admit strange things happen constantly. Repeated numbers, 11 and 11 on every clock he looked at, 222, 333, always mirrored times, and when he ignored them, they appeared on receipts. Car license plates, pages of books he opened randomly, too persistent to be a coincidence. Birds, especially red cardinals, would appear at specific moments when he thought of Linda. When he questioned whether he should do something, a cardinal would appear at the window looking directly at him. And Diane would say, cardinals are messengers. Someone is trying to communicate with you. And Paul uncomfortably would ask, who Linda? She's dead, Diane. And the feeling of being watched, not threatening but comforting, like a protective presence following, guiding, and a sudden desire to be in nature. Paul, who had spent his life working in a workshop, now walked daily in the forest, feeling something he couldn't name, a connection, a sense of belonging, as if the trees recognized something in him, and internal changes, subtle but undeniable. Paul had been bitter after Linda's death, angry with God for allowing cancer to take her, but in the last year, anger had dissolved. Not by conscious decision, but by a transformation he couldn't control. Peace growing where bitterness had been. Compassion arising where judgment had dwelt. Diane had noticed, commented the previous week, Paul, you're waking up. Something or someone is preparing you. Don't ignore it. And Paul, confused, asked, preparing you for what? And Diane seriously replied, I don't know, but when you're ready to know, you will. And that morning at 2:40, sanding wood in silence, Paul was thinking precisely about that. Preparing for what? And if I'm not crazy, if something really is happening, why me? I'm a carpenter. I'm not special. I'm not spiritual. Why me? And then a light filled the workshop. Not from lamps, but from outside through the window. Bluish, silver intense, but not blinding. And Paul dropped the sandpaper, walked to the window, looked out into the yard and saw an object resting on the grass, spherical, approximately 6 meters in diameter. Its mirrored surface reflecting surrounding trees, but also glowing with its own light pulsating gently in an opening forming. Not a door, but a dissolution of material in something emerging. Tall, 2.5 humanoid form, but different proportions. Long legs, slender, torso, thin arms, but a presence that was not fragile, powerful in a subtle way. Skin that was not skin, but something translucent, shining internally. In a face, large eyes occupying half of the face with no visible white, only dark depth that seemed to contain universes. Paul, his hands trembling slightly, not with terror, but with recognition, like seeing something for the first time, but knowing he had waited a lifetime for it. Left the workshop, the door creaking his slow steps on damp grass, approaching the figure that remained standing, respecting his space. And a voice came not audible, but telepathic, directly into Paul's mind, gentle but firm. Paul Stevens, carpenter, widower over 9 years old, dreams of Linda 17 times. Constant synchronicities, internal changes you don't control. You know you're not crazy. You know something real is happening, and tonight answers you sought it without knowing you were seeking them. Paul, his voice hoarse from nocturnal disuse, asked, Who are you? What do you want with me? And the alien replied, It's not about what I want. It's about what you need to know. Earth is approaching a critical moment, specifically the year 2026, when an event will occur that will irreversibly separate humanity. And you, Paul Stevens, are being prepared to cross over to the correct side when the separation happens. Paul processed words that didn't make complete sense. Separation, right side? What are you talking about? And the alien conveyed patience. I can't explain everything at once. The human mind needs to absorb things gradually. But I can say experiences of the last year, dreams with Linda, synchronicities, internal changes were caused by preparation. Your soul being adjusted, frequency being raised so that when 2026 arrives, you will be ready. Paul has discomfort growing. Ready for what and why me? I'm nobody, a retired carpenter in a small town. And the alien conveyed firmness. There are no nobodies. Every consciousness matters, and you were not chosen because you are externally special, but because your soul agreed to participate before incarnating in this life. You agreed to awaken at this specific moment to cross over when separation comes. Paul, fragments of memories that weren't memories, but recognitions. A feeling of having known this before he was born. Cross over to where? And the alien replied enigmatically. There are 2 doors opening in 2026. 2 diverging realities, and only one door can you cross over. The choice will be made not by me or by God, but by your vibrational frequency, what you chose to be through your thoughts, emotions, and daily actions. Paul trying to understand, and Linda does. She know about this? Dreams where she's told to wake up, and the alien conveyed gentleness. Linda has already crossed over, not death as you understand it, but transition. And she guides you from where she is trying to wake you up to the greater reality before it's too late. Because after 26, the window closes, choices are made, paths are determined. Paul felt tears in his eyes the first time he had cried since the funeral. So she's alive somewhere, and the alien transmitted, consciousness never dies, it only changes form. And Linda is vibrating at a frequency that you are being prepared to reach. If you choose, you can meet her again, not physically as you were, but energetically a deeper connection than the body allowed. And Paul, a man who had never believed in life after death, feeling a visceral truth in it, asked, "What do I need to do? How can I prepare myself further?" And the alien gestured to the ship. "Come inside. I can show you what will happen in 2026. Not words, but vision. Not theory, but the reality of what is to come. And then you will decide whether you accept the information and the responsibility that comes with it." Paul looked at the workshop behind him, the simple life he knew. Wood tools, a safe routine. Then he looked at the alien, at the spaceship, at the possibility of answers, about a year of inexplicable experiences, about Linda, about the feeling of being pulled towards something bigger. He took a deep breath and decided, "Show me." Paul entered the ship, its interior, defying the logic he knew, an impossible space contained within an outer sphere. Its walls not metallic but organic, pulsating with blue-silver bioluminescence, and at the center not a console but a fluid surface that the alien touched with long fingers, ripples of light responding. The alien gestured for Paul to sit on a structure that formed from the wall, molding itself comfortably to his body, and the alien remained standing. "Paul Stevens, what I'm about to show you will fundamentally change how you understand reality Earth and your place in it. Are you prepared?" Paul, hands gripping the edges of the seat. "I don't know if I'm ready, but I need to know." And the alien touched the fluid surface, the surrounding environment perceptually dissolving. Paul consciously transported, suspended in space, looking at Earth below. The familiar blue planet spinning silently, and the alien narrated, "The Earth you see, the physical planet, is not just rock and water. It is a living, conscious, multi-dimensional being. What some call Gaia, a planetary intelligence that has evolved over billions of years. And it, like all consciousness, grows, evolves, ascends to higher states of existence." Paul looked at Earth, trying to grasp the concept of a thinking planet. And the alien continued, "And now, at this specific moment in history, Earth is undergoing a massive transition, raising its vibrational frequency from lower density to higher density, a process that happens cyclically, approximately every 26,000 years. And the last cycle is completed. A new one is beginning." The vision showed Earth not as a solid sphere, but as a pulsating energy field, waves of light emanating frequency visibly accelerating, and the alien transmitted. "The process began in 2012 of your reckoning, which the Mayans recognized not as the end of the world, but as the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. And since then, the planetary frequency has been gradually rising, preparing for the leap that will happen in 2026. Paul processing, what's the point of the jump? And the alien showed a vision. Earth splitting not physically, but energetically. One Earth becoming two overlapping ones, same location, but different frequencies. 2026 is the year of bifurcation. When Earth divides into two coexisting versions, two parallel realities occupying the same space, but vibrating at such different frequencies that they no longer interact. Paul is shocking. Two Earths, how is that possible? And the alien transmitted quantum physics that your science is beginning to understand. Multiple realities coexisting. And Earth as a conscious being chose an elegant solution to the problem. Not all of humanity is ready to ascend along with it. So instead of leaving everyone behind or forcing them to follow it, bifurcates, creating two versions. One remains in the old frequency for those who need more time. The other advances to the new frequency for those who are ready. The vision showed a process. One Earth shining intensely vibrant colors, light emanating. Another Earth remaining more opaque faded colors, greater density, both occupying the same physical space, but dimensionally separated. The alien narrated, think of two radio stations transmitting in the same area, but on different frequencies. If your radio is tuned to 95.5 FM, you don't hear what's transmitting on 101.3 FM. Both exist simultaneously but don't interact. It will be the same with two Earths. Paul, trying to understand the implications, asked, and people, where do we fit into this division? And the alien conveyed, wait, each human consciousness will go to the earth that resonates with its vibrational frequency. Not a single conscious choice, but the cumulative result of thousands of choices made daily. Thoughts you think, emotions you cultivate, actions you take, everything vibrates at a specific frequency, and the dominant frequency determines which Earth you will experience after 2026. The vision showed humanity billions of points of light, each vibrating at a different frequency, some shining intensely, others dimly. And as 26 approached and the vision points of light began to separate, some moving to bright Earth, others remaining on dim Earth. Separation is not geographical. It's not half going to the northern hemisphere and half to the southern. It's dimensional. Your neighbor may go to one Earth while you go to another. And after the division is complete, you will no longer see each other, not because one died, but because you vibrate in different realities. Paul felt a chill. So families can be separated, father on one Earth, son on another. And the alien solemnly confirmed, yes, and that Paul Stevens is the most painful part of bifurcation. There's no guarantee that those you love will go to the same Earth as you. Each will go to the frequency they cultivated. And love isn't enough if frequencies diverge too much. Paul immediately thought of his granddaughter, his daughter, his friends. How do I know which Earth I'm going to? How do I know if I'm on the right frequency? And the alien transmitted experiences of the last year are the answer. Dreams with Linda, synchronicities, growing peace, compassion arising the will of nature. All these are evidence of a raising frequency. Your soul is preparing for a higher frequency Earth. And Linda, from where she is, guides you because she has already crossed over there. Paul, tears welling up again, asked, so I can see her again. If I go to that higher Earth and the alien conveyed gentleness, not physically as she was, she will not reincarnate in a dense body again, but energetically telepathic connection, felt presence, constant, guidance, a form of love, deeper than physical touch allowed. Yes, possible. And the alien showed a vision of 2026 approaching the timeline, accelerating, but the window is limited. 2026, 2033 is a period of complete transition. 26 is when the bifurcation begins, the moment when two Earths become distinct, but there is still overlap. Communication between them is still possible but decreasing. 2033 is when the separation is complete, two totally independent Earths, no more interaction. The alien paused. The view brought Paul back inside the ship, and here is crucial information that most of humanity doesn't know. The next few months from now until the end of 2026 are the last moments where frequency shifting is still relatively easy. After 226, the momentum of each Earth makes shifting exponentially more difficult, not impossible, but it requires massive effort. So the choices you make now determine not only your future, but the futures of multiple generations. Paul, the weight of it settling, asked, and how many know this? How many are being prepared like me? And the alien transmitted, a small percentage, perhaps 10 to 15% of current humanity, is aware on some level, through dreams, synchronicities, encounters like this, strong intuitions, and these are seeds. When the bifurcation happens, they will be anchors on higher Earth holding space for others who may yet cross over during the transition window. And the alien conveyed something Paul didn't expect. And you, Paul Stevens, are not only being prepared for your own journey, but to help others. A carpenter who works with his hands transforming raw wood into something beautiful and useful. This skill is a metaphor for what you will do energetically. You will help others transform density into lightness, fear into love, through simple presence and lived example. Paul, uncomfortable with the responsibility, said, I'm not a leader, I'm not a preacher, I just make chairs. And the alien conveyed exactly, you don't need to preach, you just need to be. Live at the frequency you are cultivating, and others will feel it consciously or not. Elevated presence inspires elevation in others. It's like a tuning fork. When one vibrates, others around begin to resonate at the same frequency. Paul absorbed that, then asked what he feared most. What if I fail? What if my frequency drops? What if I can't maintain preparation? And the alien conveyed firmness. You will fail occasionally. Humanity is imperfect, but direction matters more than perfection. If you choose love more than you choose fear, if you choose unity more than you choose separation, if you choose compassion more than you choose judgment, cumulatively frequency remains high. It's not about never falling, but about getting up more times than you fall. And the alien prepared to show more. Now you need to see what these two Earths are like, not abstractly, but vividly. You need to understand specific characteristics of each to recognize signs of which one you are manifesting, ready to see both realities diverging. Paul, knowing he could not back down, that he needed to see everything, nodded. Show me the two lands. The vision around Paul changed drastically. An alien touching a fluid surface, and Paul perceptually transported to a future Earth. Recognizing Asheville, but different, heavy atmosphere, gray sky, even without clouds, faded colors. And the alien narrated, "This is Earth of lower frequency. Ancient reality where approximately 80 to 85% of current humanity will remain after bifurcation. Observe characteristics." Paul walked down the street in the vision. People around him, but a strange energy. Everyone hurried tense, no one making eye contact. Each isolated in an individual bubble, and the alien transmitted. First characteristic, extreme separation. At a lower frequency, the illusion that you are separate from everything intensifies. From other humans, from nature, from source. From this perception, constant fear is born. Because if you are alone, you need to fight for survival, accumulate, protect, defend. The vision focused on news broadcasts in a shop window, headlines about escalating wars, collapsing economies, dramatically worsening weather, new diseases emerging, and the alien narrated. Second characteristic, amplified chaos. Not because lower Earth is punishment, but because low frequency attracts density. Collective thoughts of fear manifest the reality of more things to fear. A self-perpetuating cycle. The more fear, the more chaos. The more chaos, the more fear. Paul saw overwhelmed hospitals not only with physical illnesses, but with epidemic mental breakdowns, paralyzing mass anxiety, severe depression, and rising suicide rates. And the alien transmitted third characteristic, intensified suffering. Bodies at low frequencies get sick more easily. Minds at low frequencies fall into despair more quickly. Not because the universe punishes, but because density is heavy. Literally carrying density without relief exhausts systems. The vision showed reinforced control systems, surveillance on every corner, increasing restrictions, decreasing freedoms, but not due to external tyranny, but to internal demand from a terrified population. Fourth characteristic, control as an illusion of security. At low frequency, humans seek to control the external environment to feel a sense of security that they cannot cultivate internally, accepting monitoring restrictions, anything that promises protection from fears they themselves have created. Paul saw families in houses, but not connected, each member in a separate room, on a device isolation, even while living together. Fifth characteristic, family disconnection. Relationships based on obligation, not love. Reproduction happens because the economic system requires it, but genuine intimacy is rare. Children grow up without deep affection modeling, so the next generation is born even more disconnected. And the alien showed something that deeply disturbed Paul. Nature withering, forests dying, animals disappearing. Not just because of climate change, but because of energy disconnection. Sixth characteristic, nature withering. Earth as a living being draws energy from lower frequencies to nourish higher frequencies. So the lower version experiences accelerated degradation, not total extinction, but constant decline. The alien paused the vision briefly, bringing Paul back. This is Earth where most will remain not by conscious choice, but by resonance, a frequency they have cultivated through years of choices based on fear, ego separation, materialism. And they will continue living like this until lessons are learned and consciousness evolves sufficiently to elevate. Paul, viscerally uncomfortable, asked, "And how long are they stuck there forever?" And the alien relayed, "Not forever. Eventually, after multiple lifetimes, after enough suffering to catalyze awakening, they ascend. But the process can take decades, centuries in Earth time, while those at higher frequencies evolve exponentially faster." And the vision changed abruptly. The same Asheville, but completely different. Vibrant blue sky, saturated colors, golden light permeating everything, clean air that Paul could feel even though it was a vision. And the alien narrated, "Now you see Earth of a higher frequency, a new reality where 10 to 15% of current humanity will transition after 2026. Observe the differences." Paul walked down the street in the vision. People were still present, but the energy was completely opposite. Calm, smiling, making eye contact, genuinely greeting strangers. The alien transmitted first characteristic, natural unity. At a higher frequency, the illusion of separation gradually dissolves. You recognize the interconnectedness of everything. When you look at another human, you see an extension of yourself. From this perception, automatic love is born. Spontaneous compassion, effortless cooperation. The vision focused on community working together to build something not for money, but for the joy of contributing. Second characteristic, cooperation over competition. The economic system transitions from scarcity to abundance, not because resources magically multiply, but because sharing replaces accumulation. Advanced technology combines with heightened awareness to create real sustainability. Paul saw community gardens accessible, clean energy, architecture integrated with nature, not dominating, but harmonizing. Third characteristic, harmony with nature, a higher frequency. Earth thrives because humans there understand that they are a part of Gaia, not owners. They take care of a planet that takes care of them, a true symbiosis. Aliens showed people in a park, not all young, but all vibrant, with radiant health energy. Fourth characteristic, amplified health. Bodies at high frequency regenerate faster, age more slowly. Severe diseases are rare because stress is minimal and nutrition is optimal. Not immortality, but significantly expanded vitality. The vision showed communication between people, words, but also something more. A subtle telepathic understanding beginning to emerge. Fifth characteristic, intuition, and subtle telepathy at a higher frequency. Latent psychic abilities begin to activate naturally. Not spectacular, like in movies, but practical. Knowing who is calling before the phone rings, sensing when someone needs help, synchronicities exploding, because attunement with the universal flow increases. An alien showed families deep, visible connection, long hugs, real conversations, genuine laughter, children playing freely, but parents emotionally present. Sixth characteristic, deep connections, relationships based on authentic love, not need or obligation. Vulnerability celebrated, not punished. Emotional intimacy, the norm, not the exception. Paul, seeing the stark contrast between the two earths, asked the obvious question, why would anyone choose to stay on the lower one? Why doesn't everyone choose the higher one? And the alien conveyed a crucial message. It's not an intellectual choice. I prefer the good earth, its vibrational resonance. To be at a higher frequency, you need to live at a higher frequency, not just desire it, but embody it through thoughts, emotions, daily actions. And most of humanity is so accustomed to fear judgment, separation, competition, that raising oneself requires inner work that they are unwilling to do. Aliens showed both Earths side by side. And here's the part that few understand. Higher Earth is not better morally. It's just vibrationally different. Those on lower Earth are not evil. They are just at a different evolutionary stage. and judging them would contradict the higher frequency that practices compassion, not judgment. Paul absorbed the contrast, then asked about himself and me. Do experiences from the last year mean I'm going higher? And the alien conveyed caution. You are being prepared but not guaranteed. Preparation is not arrival. You still need to choose daily to rise. The next few months until 2026 are crucial. Every thought of fear pulls you down. Every act of love lifts you higher. You are in transition. You can go either way depending on the choices you make now. St. Paul felt a sense of urgency. So how do I guarantee it? What do I need to do specifically? And the alien conveyed there's no guarantee, only increased probability through consistent practice. And yes, there are specific choices that raise frequency more effectively than others. Ready to see what to do daily. Paul determined said, show me how to raise my frequency. I don't want to stay on lower earth, not after seeing the difference. The alien gestured and around Paul's 7 points of light materialized, floating each representing a specific choice. The alien then conveyed, Paul Stevens, raising your frequency doesn't happen through elaborate rituals or complex esoteric knowledge. It happens through simple choices, repeated daily until they become second nature. I'll give you 7 practices. You don't need to do them all perfectly, but the more you practice, the faster your frequency will rise. First light shown and the alien narrated. First gratitude upon waking before the mind begins to worry about the day. Before thinking about Linda no longer being there. 5 minutes of genuine gratitude, not forced but felt. Be grateful for breathing, for the sun rising, for hands that still work wood, for a granddaughter who loves you. Small, concrete things. Gratitude is the highest frequency that a human can consistently sustain. Paul thought about his routine, waking up and immediately feeling emptiness on the empty side of the bed. What if gratitude doesn't come naturally? What if the first thought is pain and the alien conveyed, then it starts tiny. Grateful to wake up alive today. Just that authenticity matters more than magnitude. Small, genuine gratitude elevates more than large manufactured gratitude. A second light shown. Second, conscious work. You work in carpentry. You transform wood, but how often do you do it automatically? Your mind elsewhere. Next time, complete presence. Feel the texture of the wood, the smell of sawdust, the sound of sandpaper. Each intentional movement, conscious manual work, is active meditation. Anchor yourself in the present, and the present is where higher frequencies live. Paul admitted spending hours in the workshop with his mind wandering, thinking about the past, worrying about the future. So can carpentry be a spiritual practice? And the alien confirmed everything can be. It's not the activity that matters, but the consciousness brought about. A monk is no more spiritual than a carpenter if the carpenter is present and the monk is distracted. A third light emerged, third daily nature. The walks you started last year weren't random. They were your soul guiding you. Continue at least 20 minutes a day. But don't walk thinking about problems. Walk feeling. Feet touching the earth, wind on your face, sounds of birds, trees. Gaia transmits a higher frequency directly through nature. The more time you spend connected with it, the more your frequency aligns. Paul, he was already doing this. What if it rains? What if the weather is bad and the alien transmitted? Then sit on the balcony watching the rain or put your hand on a plant inside the house. Connection doesn't require perfect weather. It requires intention. The fourth light shone intensely. Fourth, daily forgiveness, especially of yourself. Paul Stevens. You carry guilt over Linda. You think I should have noticed the cancer sooner. I should have done more. Guilt is very infrequent. Forgive yourself daily, aloud if necessary. I did the best I could with the conscience I had. I forgive myself and forgive others you have hurt, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve the freedom that forgiveness brings. Paul sensed resistance, years of buried guilt. Guilt seems justified if I had. And the alien interrupted firmly. Guilt doesn't bring Linda back. It only keeps you at a low frequency, preventing energetic reconnection with her. She doesn't want your guilt. She wants your peace. Forgiveness liberates both of you. The fifth light appeared, fifth simple service. One action a day helping someone without expectation of return. It doesn't need to be big. Take soup to a sick neighbor. Fix someone's chair for free. Listen to a lonely person. Acts of kindness raise the frequency of both the giver and the receiver, creating waves that spread. Paul thought of Diane, his neighbor, who had spoken about awakening. May I ask, is she also being prepared? And the alien confirmed, yes, and you can help her through your presence, not by preaching, but by being an example of a simple man raising consciousness, inspiration by demonstration, not by words. Sixth light shone Friday dialogue with Linda. Don't pray asking, but converse sharing aloud or mentally. Tell her about your day. Ask for advice. Don't expect an audible answer, but pay attention to synchronicities, sudden thought sensations. She responds through these channels. Communication between dimensions is possible, but subtle requires attention. Paul, tears in his eyes, asked, so when I feel her presence, I'm not imagining things. And the alien conveyed gentleness. No, she is frequently present, trying to guide, comfort, connect. Your recent sensitization allows you to perceive what has always been there. The more you practice openness, the clearer the communication becomes. The seventh and final light materialize. Seventh conscious community, seeking others, awakening meditation, group sharing circle, even neighbor Diane. Isolation pulls frequency down. Community raises it. Listening to others navigating awakening normalizes your experience. Eliminates the feeling of, I'm going crazy alone. Everyone is awakening together, and collective strength amplifies the individual. Alien left 7 lights floating around Paul. These practices, Paul Stevens, are not abstract suggestions. They are concrete tools tested by millions of consciousnesses through millennia. They work because they work with natural laws of vibration. Just as water flows downwards by gravity, consciousness flows upwards by consistent practice. Paul observed 7 choices, none impossible, all within his capacity. And how long? If I start today, how long until the frequency rises sufficiently? And the alien transmitted, there is no fixed timeline. Each consciousness is different. But generally, first weeks, a feeling of relief, peace growing, months noticeable, changes, synchronicities exploding, health improving, and even 2026. If you practice consistently enough to cross over to the higher earth when the bifurcation happens. The alien showed vision. Paul in 2 possible futures, first path ignoring practices, returning to old routine. 2026 arriving and Paul waking up on lower earth alone, dense without Linda, without light. Second path applying 7 choices daily, imperfectly, but consistently. 2026 arriving and Paul crossing over to upper earth, feeling Linda's presence stronger than ever. Deep peace, light all around. Alien made both futures visible. Free will is sacred. I cannot force choice. I can only show paths and consequences. But Paul Stevens, your soul has chosen to awaken now. Linda guides you from where she is. Synchronicities pull you. And I came tonight to confirm what you already knew intuitively. Something big is coming and you are being prepared to cross over. Will you accept this preparation? Paul looked at both paths, clearly seeing the difference, deeply feeling which one he wanted. I accept. I'll practice. Not perfectly, but I'll try. And the alien conveyed approval. Trying is enough. Perfection isn't required, just consistent direction. And the alien prepared to show something final. Now I need to show you what happens during the transition period, 2026, 2033. How the bifurcation will appear externally, because when it begins, it will be confusing, disturbing, and you need to recognize the signs so you don't panic. Ready, Paul, knowing he needed to see everything, nodded. Show me what will happen during the transition. The view around Paul changed again. The alien showing a timeline from 2026 to 2030, and the alien narrated Paul Stevens. What I'm going to show you is how the bifurcation will appear externally because it won't be an instantaneous explosion that splits Earth into two visible halves. It will be a gradual 7-year process that will confuse most because they won't understand what's happening. The vision focused on the beginning of 2026 and the alien transmitted. First symptom, mysterious disappearances, not abductions or deaths, but people simply leaving each other's lives without a clear explanation. For example, the vision showed Paul having coffee with a friend of decades. A normal conversation of farewell, we'll talk next week. But the following week, Paul calls. The number is disconnected. He goes to the house. A different family is living there. He asks the neighbors. Nobody remembers the friend as if he had never existed. Paul, shocked, asked, "How is that possible? People can't just disappear." And the alien transmitted. They don't physically disappear. They change frequency. Your friend transitioned to Earth, which you no longer vibrate on. So from your perspective, he's gone. But from his perspective, you're gone. Both of you continue to exist, but in parallel realities that no longer intersect. Alien continued. And it won't all happen at once. It will be gradual, random. Person here, person there, creating massive confusion. Authorities will try to investigate his missing persons cases, but they won't find a physical explanation because it's not physical. It's dimensional. According to the second symptom, shown families inexplicably splitting. The vision showed a family dinner. Parents, 3 adult children conversing normally. But as 2026 progresses, one child stops attending, saying that family no longer resonates. The connection cools rapidly, not because of fighting, but because of vibrational divergence becoming unbearable. Eventually, this child disappears completely from the reality of the others. Paul felt pain from that. So parents can lose children, not through death, but through bifurcation. And the alien solemnly confirmed yes, and that will be the deepest pain of transition. There is no death to mourn, no body to bury, only growing absence. A feeling that a loved one is alive somewhere, but unreachable, and attempts to maintain contact will fail because frequencies diverge too much. Alien showed a third symptom, extreme divergent realities. A vision showed 2 people living in the same city, but experiencing completely different realities. Person A looks at the news and sees wars escalating, economies collapsing, natural disasters, increasing total despair. Person B looks at the same news and sees solutions emerging, international cooperation growing clean. Technologies advancing, hope flourishing, same sources of information, radically opposite interpretations because each one filters through the frequency they vibrate at. Paul acknowledged that this was already happening subtly with people disagreeing about basic facts. So the current polarization is the beginning of that. And Alien confirmed, yes, the bifurcation has already begun on a subtle level. 2026 is when it accelerates dramatically, and 2027, 2030 is when it becomes impossible to deny that something fundamental has changed. Fourth symptom, geography becoming irrelevant. The alien showed Paul trying to visit his daughter in a neighboring city. He drives there, the address is correct, but the house looks different. He knocks on the door. Strangers open it, saying they've lived there for years. Confused, Paul returns home, calls his daughter. She says, "Dad, I'm home. Where were you?" But when Paul tries again, he can't get there, as if the path is reconfiguring itself. Physical distance ceases to matter. Vibrational proximity becomes the only relevant factor. You can be geographically close to someone, but dimensionally too distant to interact. Fifth disturbing symptom, divergent memories. A vision showed 2 people remembering the same event in completely different ways, not interpretations, but objective facts. One remembers a blue sky, the other remembers rain. One remembers 10 people present, the other remembers 3. As the bifurcation progresses, personal stories begin to diverge because each frequency creates a slightly different timeline retroactively, a massive collective Mandela effect. Paul, confusion growing. Won't this cause collective madness? How will people cope with reality becoming inconsistent? And the alien added, wait, it's already causing an increase in psychiatric diagnosis, extreme anxiety, a feeling that the world no longer makes sense. But the truth is not individual madness. It's a dimensional bifurcation that most don't recognize. So they try to explain it with psychology when it's quantum physics. Six-symptom technology failing mysteriously. A vision showed communications becoming unreliable messages, not arriving calls dropping, not due to technical failure, but because sender and receiver vibrate at diverging frequencies. 2028-2030. Communication between people on different frequencies becomes exponentially difficult, eventually impossible. You will not be able to call someone on a lower Earth if you are on a higher one. The line simply does not connect, as if the number did not exist. The seventh and final symptom, growing clarity for conscious beings. A vision showed those practicing frequency elevation, like Paul, experiencing the opposite of confusion. Increasing clarity, exploding synchronicities, dramatically improving health, and flourishing deep connections. While most experience chaos, a conscious minority experiences alignment because they are riding the wave of change instead of resisting it. For them, transition is not terror, but liberation. The alien pause, the vision, brought Paul back to the ship in 2033. The final year is when complete separation occurs. Two groups that began as a single humanity become two-dimensionally distinct species, sharing ancestry but no longer sharing reality. And from that point on, the evolution of each group happens independently. Upper Earth evolves exponentially fast. Lower Earth evolves slowly through cycles of suffering until lessons are learned. Paul, processing the magnitude, asked, and there's no going back. After 2033, those in the lower realms can't cross over to the higher ones. And the alien transmitted, technically possible, but requires a massive quantum leap in consciousness. Extremely rare. While before 2033, crossing over is relatively easy if you practice consistently after 2033, the momentum of each Earth is so strong that change requires heroic effort. So the window now is precious. Paul thought of his granddaughter, his daughter Diane, everyone he knew. How do I help others? How do I warn them without seeming crazy? And the alien conveyed a crucial message. Don't preach live. When you practice 7 choices, your frequency rises. Others will feel it consciously or not. A heightened presence draws attention. Some will ask, what has changed in you? Then you can share, but only when they ask. Forcing information on someone who isn't ready causes resistance. Respect free will offer, but don't impose. And the alien transmitted the final part of this element. And Paul Stevens, when the bifurcation visibly begins in 2026, the world will panic. Conspiracy theories will explode. Governments will try to explain it with conventional science and fail. Religions will say it is divine judgment. But you and others who are prepared will know the truth. And your peace amidst the chaos will be a beacon for those who can still awaken during the transition window. Paul, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also determination, asked, and Linda, when the fork is complete, will I be able to sense her presence more clearly? The alien gently confirmed, yes. In higher Earth, the veil between dimensions is much thinner. Communication with consciousness is in even higher densities, becomes natural. You won't see her physically, but you will feel her presence. You will hear a telepathic voice, a deeper connection than physical touch ever allowed. She awaits you on the other side of the fork. Paul, tears streaming silently, and the alien prepared to finish. Now time on the ship ends. Dawn comes. Normal life awaits. But it will no longer be normal because now you know. Knowledge brings responsibility. The coming months will determine not only your future, but the futures of all those you touch. Ready to return and begin. Paul, wiping away tears, nodded firmly. I'm ready. Paul regained full consciousness in the carpentry workshop, 3:52 in the morning. Only 20 minutes had passed, though the experience had seemed like hours. The yard empty now, the spaceship gone, but the knowledge remaining vivid. 2026 bifurcation. 2 Earths, 7 choices. Linda waiting on the other side. His first action wasn't to go home and try to sleep as he normally would, but to implement his first choice immediately right there in the workshop at 4 in the morning. He sat in a chair he had built, closed his eyes, and for the first time in 2 years, practiced intentional gratitude, not forced, but sought out. Grateful to be alive. Grateful for hands that still work. Grateful that Linda existed even though she's no longer physically here. Grateful for my granddaughter Sarah who loves me. Grateful for having been chosen to know the truth. Words came with difficulty at first. 2 years of bitterness wouldn't dissolve in minutes. But Paul persisted 5 full minutes. And as he finished, something small but real had changed inside him. A slightly lighter weight, slightly easier breathing. Dawn arrived. Paul hadn't slept, but didn't feel his usual exhaustion. Adrenaline kept him alert. And when the sun rose through the workshop window, Paul truly observed colors. Golden light touching the wood. Beauty he had ignored 1,000 mornings. A second choice, a conscious presence. She prepared breakfast, not automatically but feeling it. The smell of the beans, the warmth of the mug, the bitter taste on her tongue. 5 minutes of mindful eating. Her mind trying to wander to, was it real? Did it really happen? But bringing her attention back to the present, anchoring herself in now. 7 in the morning, he grabbed his coat and went for a walk in the woods behind the house. His third choice, his daily nature walk. But today was different. Not walking while thinking, but feeling. Feet on the ground, the sound of leaves, the smell of pine trees. And 20 minutes into the woods, something happened. A red cardinal landed on a branch 2 meters ahead of him, looking directly at him. And Paul, remembering what Diane had said about cardinals being messengers, whispered, "Linda, is that you?" And the birds sang 3 clear notes, then flew away, but not randomly, circling around Paul 3 times, then to a specific tree. And Paul, following his intuition, approached, found an old engraving he had made years ago on the bark. P+L heart, heart around it. He had completely forgotten, but Cardinal had led him straight there. The first synchronicity of the day, and Paul felt Linda's presence so strongly that his knees almost gave way. Not an audible voice, but an unmistakable sensation of being energetically embraced. And for the first time in 2 years, he genuinely cried. Not in pain, but in relief. You're here. You really are. You never left. He returned home at 10 in the morning. Diane, a 50-year-old neighbor who had spoken about awakening, knocked on the door. Paul, sorry to show up unannounced, but I woke up today thinking I needed to check if you were all right. I had a strange dream about you and lights. And Paul, deciding to trust her, invited her in, made tea, and for the first time shared not everything but the essence. Diane, you were right. Something or someone was preparing me. And last night I met a visitor not human, and he showed me what's coming to Earth in P6. And Diane, instead of doubting, nodded seriously. I knew it. I felt a shift in energy around you weeks ago. So what did he say? And Paul shared the idea of a bifurcation, 2 Earth's choices that raise frequency, and Diane absorbed it with the hunger of someone who had waited for confirmation. So I'm not crazy. The sensations I have, the urgency, the synchronicities, it's all real. We're part of something massive. 7th choice conscious community found without searching, simply by living at a frequency that resonated with it. In the following days, Paul applied the practice imperfectly but consistently. Waking up with gratitude wasn't always easy. Some days his mind resisted. What is there to be grateful for? Linda is dead. I'm alone. But he forced himself to start small. Grateful for hot coffee. Building from there, I worked consciously in carpentry, transforming wood and with total presence, feeling the process. And I discovered that hours passed without me noticing. Not because my mind was distracted, but because I was so present that time dissolved. Forgiveness, the hardest fourth choice. Paul carried guilt over Linda for years. I should have insisted more when she downplayed the first symptoms. I should have taken her to the doctor sooner. But every night before bed aloud to the empty room, I did the best I could with the conscience I had. I forgive myself. Linda forgives me. I know she does. The first few weeks were empty words merely recited. But by the third week, something broke. Speaking forgiveness aloud and feeling truth for the first time, tears streaming down my face, my body convulsing with sobs, a release of years of pent-up guilt, and then peace real profound the first time since the funeral. It's simple service fifth choice. Paul started small, fixing Diane's fence for free, building a birdhouse for an elderly neighbor, taking chopped firewood to a young family. He saw struggling, quiet acts without expecting recognition, but feeling genuine satisfaction each time. 4 weeks after their meeting, his daughter Susan called, "Dad, Sarah is asking when she can visit you again, and honestly, I miss her too. Can we go this weekend?" And Paul, his heart expanding, replied, "Of course I'd love to." Saturday arrived. Susan and Sarah were at the door. Paul hugged them both longer than he normally would. Not because an alien instructed him to, but because he genuinely wanted to. And Sarah, 12 years old, looked curious. "Grandpa, you're different, more happy. I don't know. Something has changed." And Paul, with genuine vulnerability, said, "Things have changed, Sarah. I spent 2 years sad because Grandma died, but I recently discovered that she hasn't completely gone away. She's still with me in a different way, and that has changed everything." Sarah absorbed that, not fully understanding it, but she sensed the sincerity. They spent the whole afternoon together. Paul fully present his cell phone off, not thinking about his next project or worried, just there playing with his granddaughter, talking with his daughter. And Susan commented as she left, "Dad, I don't know what changed, but you're back. The dad I remember from before Mom's illness. Thank you." And alone again at night, Paul sat in a chair on the porch, gazing at the stars. Sixth choice dialogue with Linda aloud to the silent night. "Linda, if you can hear me, thank you for guiding me, for not giving up on me when I sank into bitterness, for sending an alien to wake me up. I'm trying, not perfectly, but I'm trying, and I can't wait to feel your presence even more clearly when the bifurcation is complete." And the wind blew softly at that exact moment, carrying the scent of the perfume Linda wore. Impossible, because no one around wore that perfume, but unmistakable. And Paul smiled through tears. Received. Message received. 6 months after that impossible night, Paul Stevens was in his carpentry workshop. The afternoon sun streaming through the window, working on a dining table commissioned by a young couple. And while sanding oak with complete presence, feeling the texture, smell, sound, he thought of something an alien had said, but only fully understood now. Conscious work transforms not only the wood, but the worker. And Paul, a man who had spent 2 years mired in bitterness after Linda's death, now worked in peace. Not because the pain had disappeared, but because his relationship with pain had transformed. No longer something to run from, but something to honor. Proof that his love was real, deep, and valuable. Granddaughter Sarah had visited the previous week, hugged Paul at the end, and whispered, "Grandpa, you look so different now. You seem more alive." And Paul, smiling, replied, "I'm more alive, Sarah. I learned that Grandma never really left, and that changed everything." 6 months of 7 choices practiced daily, not perfectly. Some days gratitude didn't come. Some days forgiveness got stuck in my throat. Some days work was automatic, not conscious, but direction maintained. 5 steps forward, 2 steps back, undeniable cumulative progress. And the synchronicities didn't stop. They exploded, numbers repeating everywhere. 11 to 11, 222. Cardinal signs appearing at exact moments when I thought of Linda. Vivid dreams where she kept guiding me. "Paul, keep going. You're doing well. You're not far now." And Paul, by telling the story now, wants you to understand something that took 69 years in an alien's backyard to comprehend. If you're hearing this, it's no accident. It's not an algorithm. It's no coincidence. It is called Paul thought he was going crazy. Recurring dreams, constant synchronicities, a feeling of being pulled towards something. U2 numbers that haunt us. Dreams that seem like messages. A visceral feeling that something big is coming. He's not crazy. It is being prepared for 2026. To the fork. The choice will determine not only years of experience, but also dimensions of experience. You don't have to be Paul Widower receiving messages from his deceased wife. Preparation comes in 1,000 forms. Perhaps your calling is a sudden urge of nature that he never had before. An inexplicable peace growing despite external chaos. Letting go of things that once mattered a lot. Old connections are falling apart, and new ones are mysteriously emerging. A feeling of urgency without knowing what for. They are all signs. Alma realizes what the lie doesn't yet know. 2026 is approaching. Terra prepares to fork. And you are being invited to cross. The bifurcation has already begun. Subtly, you see symptoms, people around them inexplicably splitting up. A friendship that has lasted for years cools down for no clear reason. A family that was once close becomes estranged. It's not your fault. It's not their fault. Its frequencies diverging. A preview of what will accelerate in 2026. And you can feel it. Isolation is growing, but not loneliness, because simultaneously deep connections emerge unexpectedly. Stranger becomes friend in 5 minutes of conversation. Someone showed up exactly when I needed them. Synchronicity after synchronicity. These are people on your wavelength being guided towards finding each other. Preparation is not an individual process. It's a collective effort. Linda is not unique waiting on the other side. Perhaps she is not a deceased wife to you, but someone is calling. A superior version of yourself. Awareness of what you will find on Earth, it already exists, waiting for you to cross, and it tries to guide through. Sudden intuitions, a feeling of, I need to do this without any logical reason. Magnetic attraction to places, people, practices. Don't ignore it. Don't overthink it. Don't explain it as a coincidence. It's you from the future pulling you out of the present to cross when the road forks. Time is not infinite. 2026 is approaching. Months, not decades. I'll start when I'm ready. No, start now and get ready by doing this. Paul didn't wait to feel ready. He started by grumbling gratitude at 4:00 a.m. 3 weeks later, the gratitude was genuine. Don't wait for the call. Ignite a spark. The flame comes later. And every day without practice, it's a day reinforcing an old frequency approaching the lower earth. Not as punishment through natural resonance. Are you feeling fear? It attracts a reality of fear. Does love vibrate? Attract the reality of love. Simple math. Profound consequences. It's not about being special. Paul was a carpenter, simple man. He had never meditated before. He has never read a spiritual book. Was he chosen? No. He answered when called. Crucial difference. Everyone is invited. Few people respond. Most rationalize imagination, coincidence, stress, and he continues sleeping. Until 26 arrives and to wake up on earth that resonates with sleep, dense, heavy, separated. Do you want this? Reflect on this. If synchronicities have been exploding in your life, if you feel an inexplicable urgency for something big to come, if you're being pulled toward awakening, but don't know how to begin, get to know the book, Reconnecting with Your Divine Essence. It's for those who are ready for looking inward, instead of searching outside, discovering that all the answers, all the power, all the wisdom already reside within you, waiting to be accessed. Reconnecting with forgotten divine essence, an eternal core beyond temporary identities, traumas, and conditioning that obscure who one truly is. Break through the veil of illusion that separates you from your truth, dissolving layers of programming that made you forget your divine nature. Establish a direct connection with the Creator, not through intermediaries or external dogmas, but through the divinity that has always existed within, dissolving deeply ingrained limiting beliefs that keep you small, dependent, disconnected from your unlimited inner potential. Link available in the first comment pinned below the video. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Every week, we share stories that transform sleep into awakening, fear into love, separation into unity. Leave a comment. Are you experiencing constant synchronicities? Do you feel an urgency for something big to happen in 2026? Are you ready to answer the call before it's too late? Comment below. We love reading about your experiences. If you'd like to support our channel, become a member or leave a thanks a lot in the comments. Every bit of support allows us to continue offering truths that prepare souls. 2026 can't wait. There's no negotiating at the fork in the road. Earth has already chosen to ascend. The question is not if it will happen. This is where you will be when it happens. Dense soil with 85% or light earth with 15%. The choice is not made in 2026. It's done today, tomorrow, every morning when you wake up. With gratitude or bitterness, with presence or distraction, with love or fear, thousands of small choices, cumulative, determining frequency, determining destination, determining reality. Some of you are feeling a calling and asking for more. It's not intellectual curiosity. It is an urgency of the soul. Something has awakened that will not go back to sleep. An awakening that has begun but needs guidance to fully blossom. 2026 is not far off, and the choice does not lie in the future. It lies in this very moment. If Paul's story touched your heart, that is the call from your soul seeking to awaken. Leave a comment below. I am ready for the new earth to affirm your intention to the universe. And if you seek a detailed map to reclaim your inner power, do not miss the book, Reconnecting with Your Divine Essence. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications as we will journey through this historic transition together. See you on the other side of the light.